house is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. It'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, what's up, Bob?
Not a lot. What's going on with you?
Oh, we got a lag. Fucking internet. Anytime I try to do something.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying out this. Hopefully this Wi-Fi holds up for me, but it's getting a little
Anyway,
sketchy.
we're here with Feedlot Bob. Oh. I'll let you finish.
Oh, no, I'm done. I was just saying this Wi-Fi here has been a little sketchy. It seems like it's working now, but let me know if I need to get on my phone.
Okay, good enough. No, it looks like you're good on your end. Yeah, my internet's just. I was just when I was waiting on you, I got an email from Starlink that says, "Hey, due to supply chain shortages, we've moved your target date back from November to January." So cool. Thanks, thanks, fellas. Appreciate that. What's new? And you moved down to Texas. So are you full-time horse trainer now, or what's the deal?
Yes, sir. I'm working down here, canning quarter horses, getting some colts started, and riding 2-year-olds pretty much.
Right on, man. How's it all treating you?
I love it. It's funny. My wife she just went home yesterday for Thanksgiving. She'll be there for a couple weeks, and I can't even imagine going back up to Oregon right now. Like, I just have absolutely no desire. It's just like normal life down here, you know. I can't imagine going back up there, and people, you got to still wear a mask everywhere, and people think that COVID is, still a thing. And it's just,
yeah,
I like it here, man.
Yeah, it's wild how even in Reno the other day, we took the kids to Reno for this what they call it, Jurassic Quest or something. This is a dinosaur seminar or exhibit deal. It was pretty cool. But even there, like Costco, they got signs everywhere, but nobody said shit if you didn't have a mask on there. It's just kind of everybody's over it. And then you hear it's funny listening to people from New York and California talk about how it's such a big deal yet. And I don't know, man. It's wild.
It's like you're afraid to let it go because they'll be turning loose the only personality trait that they have, which is being the mask Karen, or
Well, they'll let it go when Trump's back in office, so then they can they can go for impeachment, number 7 or whatever they're at. Right. Just like if nothing else, Trump will go down in history as the most impeached president of all time.
Yeah, that's the new national pastime. Impeaching Trump.
just you know what? I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Impeach them all. Fuck them. Just impeach them all.
Yeah. It's crazy that
what a wild time to be alive, man.
I know that's what when you asked if I wanted to come on and talk about this stuff today, I was like, gosh dang, where to even begin?
I know, I was kind of we've been busy as shit. So I haven't my research. You know, I get my normal podcast dosage, and so I listen to that. But like, as far as like diving into some stuff, I just haven't had time here lately. We've been just damn busy, but it doesn't. You know, I was telling somebody the other day that I was worried about the entertainment value of the presidency when Trump was gone, but man, it's pretty goddamn entertaining. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So, one of the headlines was and it was trending on Twitter. Like one of the top trending topics on Twitter the other day was just colonoscopy, and and I was like, oh, okay, it's got to be Joe Biden, and of course it's fucking Joe Biden. Yes, and I have not confirmed this at all. I just heard that he had a polyp removed or something like that. So now he can really get some force behind those shits when he's been in front of the Pope. And oh my God, what like. I'm 100% serious that Mike Judge has to be a prophet in the Church of Burning Daylight. He called that shit with Idiocracy a while ago.
I don't think that movie was intended to be a documentary.
Right. That's exactly like it's like 1984. Orwell was like, it was supposed to be a warning, not a fucking blueprint. Yeah, it's wild. Just absolutely bonkers. You know, there's it's funny, and even on some of the better like news, I won't say news outlets, but like podcasts, but like that it's like Sagar and Crystal Ball. I think it's I forget what they're the Breaking Points or something like that. I know Rogan's a big fan of. People talk him up, and I think they're just kind of whatever. I think they're both just far too statist for me. But they're not even making like solid points a lot of times. But they're they keep talking about the what they call it, the great layoff or the great
reset.
Nah, it wasn't the Great Reset. They were they were talking about everybody quitting their jobs and they're like, yeah, it's just it's worker turmoil and it's a big part of the labor movement. Prices are not or wages aren't high enough, and you know, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, kinda, but you're missing the entire point of the looming vaccine mandate that covers, you know, a third of the U.S. workforce. That's a big part of it. There's also the fact that now people have been on unemployment for so long. That's another reason why people aren't, or the, you know, what they call it, like the great walkout or something stupid. You know, they all have those buzzwords. Yeah. Even a lot of the podcasts have those buzzwords, and it's weird. It's fucking weird how that works.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's so. The crazy thing to me is, like, you know, they used to say, "Oh, you got to watch all the major news networks to see what's really going on," and kind of like, because they're all telling different versions of the truth, and you got to kind of find what's in common between all of them to actually figure out what's going on. Well, it's like they're all so far now that that's kind of out the window, along with a lot of these outlets. Like you're talking about podcasts and everything. It's like, and I'm not joking when I say this, I figure out what's going on by what memes I'm seeing on my news feed. Like the memes are really what's telling me the news.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bizarre time.
Yeah. So like I have my and I don't like go to any one particular site. I guess outside of Drudge Report, Drudge Report used to be really useful, and now it's just more fear mongering more than anything. But
Right.
yeah, it's so like I have the Google News app, I got the Apple News app, and there's a couple different email deals that I have. And that gives you kind of a decent idea of what's going on, kinda. And then Ron Paul will talk about something that's important that we're probably missing. And then there's a handful of podcasts that I listen to, and somewhere in there, like I'll find something that I have to look a little further into, and it's weird when you hear those talking points that you hear on, and I don't watch cable news anymore. That shit's fucking toxic. But you'll even on the when you'll listen to a podcast or people share videos, like you hear all the news outlets say the same exact thing, and then you'll see somebody post a video montage of them saying the same topic. Put that down on paper. Is it Karl Rove? You there?
Yeah, you're lagging here a little bit. Oh, okay. There you are. Sorry.
Yeah, but I just wonder where all those like talking points come from. Like who sets it? Is it Karl Rove sets those talking points, or is I'm starting to think too much.
Yeah, it's hard not to be a conspiracy theorist these days, and it's especially with the internet that you'd really have to bury your head in the sand to not see it. Like when you're kind of lagging a little bit. I'm not sure if I caught everything that you were saying, but it sounded like you're talking about like when you see those mashups of the different news anchors all saying the exact same thing laid over one another from all over the country. Like someone's feeding them that for sure. And when I went back, and this has been a year or two ago, I went back and listened to that first time Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan. And I remember listening to it when it first came out, and I was like, oh, I love Alex Jones. He's a fucking nut job. Like, let's hear what crazy shit he has to say. And of course, he didn't disappoint. But then I went back and listened to it a year or two ago, and every single thing he said has come to pass. And it's like, well, you can't even hear this guy now because whatever the word for canceling now is, deplatforming, whatever. They've gotten rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's like this guy used to be the nuttiest conspiracy theorist there was, but, it's like you see that meme going around of like, you are here in the checklist of things that Alex Jones has said that have come to pass.
Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. But I bring up Carl Luntz because I was listening to Pat McAfee the other day. And so like he's kind of dipped his toe into media here lately with the Aaron Rodgers deal and the fucking vaccine bullshit. And so he's not a political guy at all. He's at 100% sports and entertainment. But he was talking about when he was in the NFL, they had Carl Lentz came over and they had focus groups about how NFL players are supposed to talk. And they eventually ended up all sounding like politicians, or like that's how they wanted them to talk. And I was like, is that when sports started to get politicized? I wonder if that's what it was, because then Carl Lentz was working for the NFL. He wasn't working for any particular team. He was working for the NFL as a whole. And it's just and all those focus groups, I would bet they tend to lean into that whole woke narrative too. And it's like, is that when the NFL like started sliding into this woke political bullshit?
I don't know, man, but it's gotten unbearable. Like, I can't even watch the NFL anymore. Like, you can't even watch it on mute.
You know, I follow it. I follow it.
They got it painted, end racism. Like, oh, good job, I guess.
Look at that on my phone, and that's it. And like I look at the my fantasy teams, and that's it.
Yeah, it's just, and I think like now more than ever, it's like, dude, people want to watch their sports or whatever it is to get away from this because we're just sick of being berated with it. No matter what side you're on, but people are just, I think, sick of being berated by it all the time. It's like you can't even get away from it.
Well, people used to share videos of like, remember OBJ, Odell Beckham's like any number of his just insane one-handed catches. Mm-hmm. That used to be what was floating around Twitter or big hits or something. Now it's like some political tweet that they put out. Nobody fucking cares. And I'm not one of those shut up and dribble type of guys. I'm just like, God damn it. Can we stop? Just can we please just get back to doing something that's not politics? That's just something not political.
I was just talking yesterday to someone out here. They're talking about Ryan Bingham, and because I mean he's been a Beto boy for a while, but now that Beto's running for
Bobby O'Rourke.
Bobby O'Rourke.
Robert Francis
and he's
himself.
Running for governor down here. Ryan Bingham, of course, is behind him. And I was talking to someone yesterday. I was like, gosh, I just wish that, like, these entertainers, celebrities, artists, whatever, I wish they would make it easier for us to separate their politics from their work. I like Ryan Bingham, but it's like, Jesus, man, like, just, I don't care who you like. Like, it's just, let me enjoy your music, you know? I don't give a shit about your politics.
Well, I don't know, man. There's at some point, like, everybody needs to know that, like, your favorite singer probably leans very liberal. Like your favorite
it's fair to assume we don't.
It is probably far left of where you are on the spectrum if you're kind of like fellas like us. But there's also there's just a time and a place for it all, and I don't know. Ryan Bingham hasn't put out enough great music here lately for him to really be piping in on politics. Like if you're gonna be that, like if you're gonna be really outspoken as a musician right now, I want to hear some fucking killer tunes.
He's on Yellowstone. He doesn't have to be making music.
That's true. You know, you look at the 70s, all that just fucking amazing music that come out of the anti-war movement there. And there was some around the global war on terror, but nothing like the 70s. But I was telling somebody the other day, like, I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards bringing the draft back. Starting to.
That's interesting.
And it's not that I agree with somebody being forced into military service, but they if there wouldn't have been the widespread war movement or anti-war movement in the 60s and 70s, Vietnam probably could have drug out another 10 years. And that's kind of what nipped it in the bud, is because people had real skin in the game. There's a good chance they were getting, especially towards the end, where they kept raising that number on the draft lottery, that it was getting way more likely that you were getting drafted into service, and people were really like, oh wait, hold on now, what are we over there for?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I don't know if it's a good argument, but like I said, it kind of makes me take another look at it. Just, but I don't know. It's I don't even know how we got off on that little bit, but it's yeah. I want to hear some just fucking killer music out of this time period.
Right.
I don't know. I wonder. I don't know what's like good coming out of like the hip hop community right now, that's like type music like that, but I'm not seeing like on the tree or the Americana or whatever you want to call that scene. I'm not seeing a ton of it. There's some good stuff coming out, but I don't know. We'll see.
No, everything seems really superficial to me. Like, obviously the country music is just terrible. It's an abomination.
Yeah. Radio country.
Everyone knows
that's golf.
It's like across all genres. Like when I go to the gym, and I got my earbuds in the whole time, but like if I'm gonna take a shower at the gym or something and I gotta take my earbuds out, I listen to what they're piping in there, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, there a single person here that listens to this and is like, oh yeah, this is good music? I mean, it's I don't know. To me, it bothers me because I just see us all becoming so much dumber as a society, and I guess a lot of times I just wish, like, this is kind of a tangent, but with the music and the NPCs on social media that downloaded the popular opinions of the day, more and more I just look at these things and I'm like, God, I wish I was stupid. Like, my life would be so much easier if I was as stupid as these people.
I know it, and I'm not. I don't know. I'm not dumb by any means, but I'm not just brilliant either. And and there's a lot of times you're just like, yeah, life would be a lot easier if I was that dumb. Like, or just get caught in the whole just right left deal is. Yeah, I hate seeing it, because and especially most of my people that I know and love are on the kind of the what would now be considered like the hard right, and
it doesn't take much.
So yeah, exactly. I mean, anything left of or right of Bernie Sanders is considered Nazi anymore.
Right.
But like take this. Did you by chance listen to or watch the Rittenhouse interview with Tucker?
No, not with Tucker. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so he had him on, and even then he did a good job of it was like 3 different segments, and they all told it was maybe a half hour. But see, this is where Joe Rogan gets it right, where you don't chop it up. You don't put out selected media. You talk and you put out the whole thing and let people make their own. And I maybe Tucker's gonna do that. I don't know, but I think it'd be better off if he did just release the whole deal. But they were talking about how so originally Lynn Wood and this other guy, Jack Pierce, or I forget the name. They were representing House initially, and remember, Lynn Wood is the big guy that's pushing the Dominion voting fraud, the Dominion voting machine fraud. And so he was saying that, he turned in like August 25th. The judge set bail something like September 5th or whatever. And Lynn Wood and this other guy were representing him. And they said by like September 5th, they'd raised over $1 million for him. But they made him stay in jail for 87 days before they posted bail. And in the meantime, they were using his name to raise money on their behalf, basically. And this is one of Donald Trump's main lawyers, who has basically fed the whole voter fraud line of bullshit. Which I think at this point we can finally just say that, like, the election, while there was a lot of shady shit going on, like, it wasn't stolen by voting machines. It was mass manipulation of the media and very shadily changing voter registration laws or mail-in ballot laws, all the stuff. I mean, what was that Time Magazine article, or was it Newsweek or Time Magazine? I can't remember, that did this big expose about the silent, underground, shadowy campaign to fortify our elections. That's what they did. It wasn't, they weren't sending data to China and Venezuela and burning servers and whatnot. No, not Twitter and YouTube. But yeah, it's but there, I don't know how many posts I saw from Lynn Wood during this during the whole election fraud deal between, was it November 7th or whatever, and January 17th when Biden took office. There was plenty of posts all over conservative social media from Lynn Wood, and then you find out, like, from the kid who was used as the poster boy of this whole, like, MAGA movement. Now they were just raising money using his name, and in the meantime, there's a 17-year-old kid scared for his life in jail for 87 days. Yeah, what the fuck, man? Yeah, like. These people are fucking monsters on both sides. Yes, I agree 100%. They're I mean, just monsters, just fucking monsters. I can't help but, like, everything I look into on that Kenosha deal, it just sad. There's nothing but sadness around that whole deal. Like, that kid. And you know what? They're like I was saying in, I think, the last episode I did, there was a video of, like, supposedly this kid sucker punching a girl on the video or on the internet too. So, like, was it him? I don't know, but it was in the New York Post, and I tend to think that it probably not true, since it's not blasted all over media right now. But they're just like, man, I don't know what to think about this kid, except, man, what a fucking sad situation all the way around. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's what else we got going on? I guess we got the bill that got passed. That's supposed
Yeah, I saw this thing going around that said something about like people don't understand. It wasn't related to spending or anything. But it said, people don't understand the significant difference between a million and a billion, and it said like a million seconds from now is a week or whatever it is, and a billion seconds is 31 and a half years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. And they spent how many $1 trillion on, like, it's just, I guess it's a good way to get away with spending stuff. It's kind of a gamble, but like, we'll just spend so much money that the voters can't even wrap their heads around it. And that's how we'll get away with continuing to spend that much. Because it's really not like that kind of number.
Yeah. So, Stalin, I like quoting Stalin because he's had some good ones that really show socialism, communism for what it is. But one thing he said, and I think Dan Carlin is who I first heard this from, was he said one death is a tragedy, but a million deaths is a statistic. And then he's also known for saying quantity is a quality all of its own. And there's a reason why the Soviet Union lost 12 million people while we lost like 200,000 in World War II, or was it 600,000, something like that? But under a million, and they lost 12 million on the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why they starved out millions of people in Ukraine, because I mean, well, once those numbers just come rolling in fast enough, and when you've got an excellent propaganda machine like they had, when somebody says a million people died in Ukraine, they're just like, oh, that's just Western propaganda. There's no way that a million people died, and in fact, it's more like 3 million.
Right.
Like yeah, it's like the North Korean style propaganda too. It's like it's not crazy that Kim Jong-un didn't the fact that he says he shot 18 holes in one. I mean that's not crazy. What's crazy is the fact that he probably took him 18 shots to to get off the tee box.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know that, but they've been doing a good job at the propaganda here. So I don't know. It's wild.
Well, yeah,
we've
like the propaganda I feel like has gotten easier because it's like people are so dug in and entrenched for their side or their team, whatever it is. That's like these people will die for their team just to get like a good zinger on Twitter, and it's like the propaganda is almost it's like self-sustaining at this point. They just have to kind of put it out there a little bit, and the woke mob grabs onto it. And it's not just the woke mob, it's on both sides, but they just grab onto it and go, because I see a lot of that stuff too with the people who the hardcore Trumpers, and the QAnon people. It's like you put it out there for them and they just latch onto it.
Oh yeah, it's wild. I love how it's funny. It's like the left wing, like that far left progressive wing of the Democrat Party has now become like the Bible thumpers of the 90s. It's so crazy how it is just flipped on its head, where now you've got like little old church ladies are just like, I'm not really okay with the gay stuff, but you do you, honey. And now, but you've got like these purple-haired, gauged earring, 22-year-olds that will, like that the Dave Chappelle deal when they like did the walkout at Netflix. There was some crazy butch haircut, just insane person with a tambourine like shaking a tambourine in this dude's face saying, "Repent, motherfucker." And it's like, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and that's not much different than what I saw. The language was a little different. The language is a little strong from the lefties, but outside of that, it's kind of the same thing.
Right. You probably watched that Dave Chappelle special, right?
I did, yeah. And it wasn't his best work, but I thought it was good.
It was good. But as far as the transphobic stuff, I kind of, if anything, it seemed like he was more supportive.
Yeah, it sounded like he was real, like real supportive.
So what the real concerning thing to me is what kind. Now, of course, most of them probably didn't watch it, but what kind of person watches that and comes away thinking Dave Chappelle hates trans people?
Well, yeah, we're like, and it goes back to the religion deal. Like, we're not dealing with rational thinking people. We're dealing with religious fundamentalists, and they have no sense of irony or hypocrisy. It's it's just doctrine at this point. And if you don't do a 5-minute just blah about how great a trans person is before you make a very mild joke, then you're obviously a bigot, and you have to be silenced. We just
you gotta have
got
your
too
pronouns
soft
in your bio.
Yeah. We're watching the collapse of the greatest empire the world has ever known, and we're able to do it with the greatest technology that with basically magic compared to the Roman Empire is what we have now. Right. And we get to watch it and commentate on it. So yeah,
and make memes and shit posts about it.
You can play your violin and just yank it to Brazilian fart porn as Rome burns down.
Be like that guy, the most famous man from Pompeii.
Yeah, exactly. And there we go for the big swinging Richards of Patreon. There's your dick joke of the week. Happy Hoppala and Dustin something or other. I forget his last name. But anyway, you know who you are. Appreciate it. There you go. Dick joke of the week.
So what do you think about, I've seen some things here and there on the internet say all these great civilizations throughout time, like Rome, for example, where they talk about here were the kind of the markers that they had during their collapse, and one of them was they had this obsession with gender and gender fluidity and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Douglas Murray talks about that. Yeah. Well, and then also if you look at and I go back to the 1920s because it's the most recent, and just look for some parallels, instability in the stock market. Not only do we have that, but we have instability in the currency market. Odell Beckham Jr. just asked the Los Angeles Rams to cut his check in crypto or in Bitcoin. And I'm all about that too. I still don't know what Bitcoin is, but the fact that the government doesn't like it makes me love it.
Yeah, that's about right.
I don't know exactly how it works or what gives it any value, but I'm gonna be like, I'm all right. You kind of got me halfway convinced. I'm gonna start dipping my toes in. When El Salvador is finally they're just like, fuck it, I don't know, Crypto City here. So I don't know. I'm looking into it. So, but you've got instability there. You've got basically armed gangs roaming, political gangs roaming the street, whether it be Proud Boys or Antifa, and there's so many similarities between the 2020s and the 1920s, and I don't think Trump's going to be that Hitler. I don't know if it's going to come. I don't see anybody left that's going to take that mantle either. So I don't. But there's there's somebody's going to pop up that's going to make most rational people say that guy is fucking nuts. But there's going to be like 25-30% of the population that fucking. Well, I mean that's Donald Trump too, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's like you ever play one of those video games that's like I don't know, think of like a Call of Duty type thing where it's super popular, but it's like how many more you're gonna come out with, and you play the game and it's like, okay, they're just rehashing this old version of the game, and then they throw in some like, yeah, I've played this level before, but then they throw something outrageous into it just to say that it's different. I feel like that's what the simulation is doing. Like they're just rehashing the 1920s, and then it just throws in something ridiculous.
The simulation has just become Hollywood, where they ran out of ideas.
Exactly.
They're just like, let's do Smokey and the Bandit 12.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like, because they're on their like second or third reiteration of Ghostbusters, and you're just like, man, the first one was good. The second one I understand, and after that it just got silly.
Right.
I understand why you did the second one. Like that payday was going to be big. We know that. But you could have let it go after that. You know, there's no need to just keep like same with American Pie. First one was funny as shit. The second one was pretty good. American Wedding was a great place to end it. And no, you had to do spin-offs. And just like, yeah, there's only so many times that turd can get warmed up before it's just it's done. It's wild. Yeah, but on that same note, like we're just reliving the Obama administration too. It's like we got the fiscal cliff situation coming up. Like, you know, they're just gonna, which is, I mean, honestly, it's been happening since the 80s. I guess when during the Clinton administration, they did have the balanced budget for a minute or two, but was it really balanced? It was kind of like the sequester cuts. Remember, were you still in the military when the sequester happened?
No, I had just gotten out.
Okay, but yeah, there was military people that like had to wait an extra week or so for their paycheck over that bullshit.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? They still spent more money than they did the year before. We were on our honeymoon to Charleston, South Carolina, and we wanted to go visit Fort Sumter because I'm a Civil War nerd, and it wasn't fucking open because of the sequester.
Oh God!
And they still spent like 5% more than they did the year before, or some shit like that. But they didn't spend the 7% they were projected to spend. So they consider that a spending savings. Cut. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what should really that should really piss people off. Like that should have people ready to like be hanging politicians in the street, is when they do that shit. When they say, okay, fine, you're not going to give us what we want, we're going to make you feel it. And so they close down the parks and stuff, and the stuff that the normal people want to do. like, yeah, see what you're doing. It's like, hey, how many fucking assistants do you have still getting paid, you know, and administrative bullshit do you have that's completely unnecessary that are still getting paid? Like, that's the shit to me that, like, gets under my skin and really makes my blood boil, is when they're when you have the government and the elites and stuff saying like, oh, okay, you didn't give us our way, we're gonna make you feel it now.
Yeah. It's but I mean that's why he tried to use OSHA, because it's gonna, they've been leaning heavily on the airlines and the healthcare industry on this vaccine bullshit. And the good thing, and I forget who I was listening to the other day. It was from a guy from ammo.com. And when he was talking about it, he's like, if you look at it, they have used probably the biggest propaganda campaign in the history of the world to push this vaccine, and we're still have got a significant chunk of the population that just says, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And they've tried mandating it, and it has, like, not been effective at all. They struck it down initially in the Fifth Circuit, and then they went ahead and stayed that. But there was so many lawsuits that they used a lottery, and so now it's all cases will be heard in the Sixth Circuit, which is out of Ohio, and I think they said that's like the second or third most conservative court in the country. So it's probably not going to stand. And actually, OSHA said because of the injunction put on it, then they just stopped all enforcement of it. But the administration says you should follow through with it still.
Right.
And that's the extent of our government right now. And that's, while it's kind of scary, it's probably a good thing because they're not competent enough to do anything really dangerous as of yet.
So what do you think it's all about? Like, it's obvious that all this vaccine stuff is not about keeping people safe from the flu. Why have they dug in so hard on it?
I think, I don't know. I think there are some people
you don't know.
It does, and I also, I don't know if there is one in particular goal. I think what I'm starting to lean more towards, and this is coming from visiting with and listening to guys in the that were in the military, particularly in the special forces community or special operations community, that see a little more into the mud between like that whole blurred line between DOD and Department of State and CIA and wherever else, they have, there's all that, where all those blurred lines meet. Those guys, after talking to some of them, that just like, there's definitely some people with some crazy ulterior motives, but I don't think they're all working together necessarily. And I think I don't know. But either way, there's a big grab for power, and quietly behind the scenes, these giant corporations seized a ton of wealth. While a lot, like millions of small businesses went under, and that was all with government blessing, and that's, if you look at the truest form of fascism, that's fascism there.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like you just said, you were talking about how our government isn't, like, it's a good thing that our government isn't competent enough to do this kind of stuff. So that's where I think you're right, is that it's kind of, it's not some great masterminded plot it's a perfect storm of a lot of different things coming together that have just gained so much momentum. And a lot of people, a lot of different people are benefiting from it.
Well, and and we have the great privilege, as if you'll use the buzzword that has become so so prevalent here over the last 10 years. We have the privilege of having a pretty ingenious system of government that most people somewhat buy into. So while an Adolf Hitler can say vaccines for everybody, Joe Biden, I mean, while he could say that, and he kind of halfway tried to, a good chunk of the country said, fuck you. Yeah. And guess what? That part of the country was also armed. So nothing was really done about it. Adolf Hitler had an unarmed populace, and the only people that were armed were his thugs in the SS or the Gestapo. That, yeah, they were true believers. So we're not there yet. But I think all what you're seeing is it's just a bunch of ham-handed attempts at power grabs, and it's all based from a conglomeration of competing groups, whether it be like the Lincoln Project or the AOCs or the neoliberals like the Obamas and the Clintons, or whoever those everybody that's vying for power, and they're all using this virus and the vaccine, and like it has nothing to do with the virus or the vaccine itself. I happen to think the vaccine's probably okay. I'm just not getting it out of sheer principle. I've already had the damn virus, and the fact that you're trying to make me says that no, but.
Yeah, it's kind of like you were saying about the crypto, about Bitcoin. It's like you're all about it because the government's so against it. It's like That's how I feel about the vaccine. Is I don't like it because they're just so about it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think all these attempts, whether it be the masks or the vaccine or whatever, it's all like you've got 5 or 6 competing interests, like all trying to find out what the best way. It's like the shittiest group project ever. and except instead of just having to listen to it, like we have to obey by it. That's what it is.
And so somehow in this case, the retard who doesn't do any of the work but gets all the credit, in charge of it.
Right. Well, and you're like, in the meanwhile, you're trying to convince me that the company who is making an experimental vaccine and holds zero liability for it, and we're supposed to believe that it's 100% fine.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's kind of, like we're talking about, it's not all one big conspiracy. It's a lot of things coming together. It's like, I think on the government's end, the federal government, they're wanting to kind of set a precedent for taking control over, people's lives and the medical decisions that they make. I don't think that Pfizer is, making a vaccine with microchips or making the mark of the beast or whatever these people are talking about. I think Pfizer's found
making
payday,
making $65 billion this year.
Right. And so it's not all one big conspiracy, but it's, you had the government pushing for all this, and Pfizer's like, hey, we'll make your vaccine,
Yeah, and also the CEO or whatever of Pfizer used to happen to be the head of the FDA. So,
God, isn't that fucking dirty?
It's so coincidental how that works. So very coincidental. Yeah, but that nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. Just do it. Just do it. It'll be fine.
Do
It'll
you
be
want to hear a
fine.
conspiracy theory?
Let's hear it. Let's hear one.
Okay. So, I'm not saying that this is what I think. I'm just saying that these are some facts and some dates that I have put together that really, and who knows, maybe this is old news, but like I said,
Okay, well, this is
not
for
as caught up
you,
as I used.
Lydia Deers. She said this one wasn't as fun as the shooting the shit ones, but we're getting into conspiracies now, Lydia. So buckle up.
So, Bill Gates. I never understood why Bill Gates was so about this vaccine, right? Like, who gives a shit what Bill Gates thinks? But and this is what I wanted to talk about tonight was the fucking pedophiles.
Oh yeah, because Ghislaine is on trial right now, which you may probably not have heard unless you're kind of tuned into the Epstein deal. Who did not kill himself, by the way.
You'll hear about Ghislaine killing herself soon. Probably. But so Bill Gates, so Epstein died, did not kill himself, but he died in August of 2019. And Bill Gates' wife apparently has been talking to divorce lawyers since October 2019. And so, are you still there?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, your video went away. So, she's been talking to divorce lawyers since October of 2019, just after Epstein died. And she was talking to the divorce lawyers because she was concerned about Bill Gates's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So, I'm assuming a reasonable person would assume that this isn't the first that she's hearing of his dealings with Epstein, but this is like a she's jumping ship kind of thing because it's gotten kind of real. Like this dude has just been suicided in prison kind of thing.
Allegedly.
So then in October of 2019, have you heard about this Event 201 thing?
I've heard it mentioned. I don't know much about it. So just pretend I don't know nothing about it.
So it was put on by Johns Hopkins University, and it's on their website. Like it's a legit thing. Like it's not just a internet conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
It was Johns Hopkins and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation put on this pandemic planning exercise, and it was, I mean, verbatim what happened with COVID. The only thing that was different was that instead of bats from China, it came from pigs in South America or something like that. But the pigs got it from the bats or something like that. But it was about a novel coronavirus that spread from animals to humans and then spread around the world. And there wasn't a vaccine available for 18 months. And it was everything that happened was outlined in this thing.
And this this was supposed to happen in South America?
Yeah, that's how it started in the scenario. I believe so.
You know what they call the Sasquatch down in South America, right?
Oh, what?
The chupacabra. So we've got a science chupacabra. I'm telling you,
yes,
this science squatch is a real thing. I'm telling you, science squatch is real. All this shit where these big weird things are happening, it happens to be a big hunt for a hairy ape man at the same time. I'm just saying, it's a little too coincidental.
Right. Well, so that whole thing, it was exactly what happened with COVID, like the whole COVID thing. And that was in October of 2019. Then we had the first case of of COVID in Wuhan in December of 2019. Which, by the way, I remember when COVID first was a thing, I told someone at work, I was like, I'm not convinced that this thing didn't come from a lab in China. And they laughed at me because they thought I was joking. And now that's kind of like the dominant theory.
Yeah.
But
do you ever read any of Jack Carr's work? He's he's a Navy SEAL. He writes like Tom Clancy type novels.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Really, really good author. I enjoy his shit. But his last novel that he published was about the same thing, except it was like a hemorrhage or like an airborne version of Ebola in his novel, and then like you go back into the whole origins of biological warfare, and it takes you right back to Nazi Germany, and all those scientists at a Nazi Germany either ended up in Russia or in the good old US of A working for the government.
Yeah.
And you're just like, So like the Bayer company, yeah, they were big time in Nazi Germany. IG Farben, which helped run the Dachau prison camp, is still a major corporation in Germany. And we happen to not only have like the military side that ran the Dachau camp, but we also have the civilian side ran the Dachau prison camp that worked for the United States government. Go read Operation Paperclip by Annie Jacobson. That's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And now like these are some of the same, maybe not the same people from World War II, but like the same lineage of people, whether either direct descendants or people that worked under these Nazi scientists, whether it be in biological warfare or like rocket development, nuclear research, all the shady shit, like the LSD stuff in the 60s, the nuclear tests, the spy plane stuff, that all had origins in Nazi Germany. Fucking wild.
Now have you heard that all these people who have, been talking about COVID and stuff, now they're warning about, I think Ian Smith posted this, but they're warning everyone about a smallpox outbreak.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, that's what it said. And it said that, like, when he posted it, he's like, we eradicated smallpox, like, many years ago. And the only people with access to smallpox is, like, organizations like the CDC.
Yeah. I saw something like that the other day, but I didn't dive into it. Like I said, my in-depth research has been lacking here lately, but it's wild. I don't know. Rand Paul doesn't get enough attention here lately with his shit with Fauci. But that guy has been someday, like there's just going to be a book about they could probably just make a book of the exchanges on the Senate floor, Fauci and Rand Paul, and then you just like,
dude,
like
how Fauci's got some balls.
Yeah, well, he's got to, because if what we're starting to find out is actually true, this dude's got a lot of blood on his hands.
Yeah, well, and it's like
a lot of blood on his hands.
Not only denying it, but like he'll deny it and be like, and I will go a step further and tell you have no idea what you are talking about. But like then it comes out a week later that
if you're questioning Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're questioning science itself. What a turd. What a turd. What else is? It seems like the Rittenhouse trial has been it was like OJ, Casey Anthony, there was another big trial here recently that kind of had the same effect, but I really, since Casey Anthony, I haven't seen as big of a hubbub as this Rittenhouse trial. And man,
it was kind of bizarre.
It was really bizarre, and still after like listening to the kid on the, like, I still just don't know how to feel about that. And you know, because I'm just like, man, what the fuck's going on over there? And then you look a little to it, and it's like, man, I guess if I was in that kid's shoes, I'd probably have done the same thing. I don't know, just go try to help out somewhere. And
was Zimmerman the other trial you were thinking of?
Oh yeah, Zimmerman. That was one where conservative media really got that one wrong. Like they really had no, like, I guess technically Zimmerman acted in self-defense, but he also stalked the kid.
Yeah.
and of course the media played it the wrong way too. But of course the conservative media took the bait, and so then, you know, George Zimmerman was like a hero, just doing nothing wrong. He was a hero. Well, no, he was actually kind of an asshole. The kid was probably an asshole too, but either way, like that Zimmerman, I don't know if I don't know, that was a weird deal. I don't know if he should have been locked up or whatever, but I just, there was no way.
I don't think you and I should have ever known George Zimmerman's name.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel.
Right. And yeah, and this Rittenhouse deal, I just, more than anything, I just like, I listened to that interview with him, and now I just kind of want him to go away. And I think from what he sounded like, I think he kind of wants the same thing too. Just like, just go away. Anything else that he has to say, I don't think is, I don't know. He said his piece, and after that, I don't know.
Unfortunate that he's becoming the standard behind which everyone who's not a leftist is rallying behind. You know, like I agree with you. I think he should just go away.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't need to be I don't know. Like, it's kind of one of those things like we were talking about, you know, everyone's just digging their heels in behind their team.
Yeah.
You know, you see that meme that's like, here's what their 17-year-olds look like, and it's Greta. And here's what our 17-year-olds look like, and it's Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, why is it our 17-year-olds? You know what I mean? It's like,
right. And like, I don't want either. That's like the whole this whole Civil War thing. And I bet you it was like that during the actual Civil War too, where like the guys that just got caught up in the middle of it, they actually had to do the fighting. We're just like, I don't know. I don't really like either side, to be honest. But and so, like, if shit popped off right now, I don't want anything to do with either side that's like really clamoring for power right now. And so I'll just head out to the hills and wait it out. I'm good. I'm good. But I don't know. It's weird. I always say I got to take a leak, but let's we'll call that good, and we'll talk some real conspiratorial shit on the Patreon side of things. Work for you?
Works for me.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks everybody else for tuning in, and move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning small, but when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.